Today on Built to Scale, we're talking with Aaron Alexandre Dumas.
Your word is your bond. Your word is pretty much everything. And I think people take that lightly. Protect your vision by standing by it, stand by your vision, your values, why you even started in the first place. And then from there, you kind of evolve.
But what they don't realize is this was 10 years of accumulation of knowledge and putting in work and events you went through and everything.
The people that are winning, the people that are where you want to be, they're never going to talk down on you. They're going to be like, yeah, you could do it. You could do it. Go for it, man. I'm supporting you. Integrity is something I think people simply overlook.
What are your values like, and how have you identified those? Welcome back to another episode of Built to Scale, the show where entrepreneurs break down the real blueprint behind the world's most successful entrepreneurs, the slow grind, the breakthroughs, the failures, and everything in between. Today on Built to Scale, we're talking with Aaron Alexandre Dumas, actor, writer, producer, and the creator of the Technician Action franchise. From healthcare supply chain to building an entire cinematic universe, his journey is packed with lessons, discipline, resilience, team building, and scaling a creative business. If you're an entrepreneur chasing your vision, this is the Roadmap episode. So welcome, Aaron. I'm excited to have you, man.
Sir.
I'm excited to unpack everything that you're working on.
Thank
From
you.
the stuff we were just talking about off camera of your mindset and values that you have and kind of going into the film industry from healthcare. What was the moment that you realized, your life couldn't stay the same, and the moment you had to start pursuing film?
Yeah, first and foremost, Quinn, I appreciate you being here. Beautiful establishment you have.
Thank you.
So pretty much a turning point for me where I had to make a decision, right? A turning point and just recreate myself, reinvent myself, transform myself it started in 2015.
Mm.
And I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was still working in healthcare, obviously to fuel the dream, the vision, the passion. And I just got sick and tired of just living a monotonous, robotic kind of same energy, same kind of lifestyle. And basically, I had to deep dive within myself, right? And, as we all know, like everything starts with you and just finding your inner truth. And I had to bite the bullet. I had to look in the mirror and tell myself, um, I was just sick and tired of just being the average version of myself. And so I started working on, mindset, personal development, reading books, listening to podcasts, and just, started focusing on health and wellness, fitness, as cliche as it may sound, but it's very simple, but people really overlook those things. So I started with that first. And second is pretty much just making the decision to um, go all in with my creative endeavors. And I got to tell you, being in the creative industry, being artist, it's not going to be, it's not easy. Nothing is easy, right?
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. And for the most part, 99% of the time, if you are an artist, you're going to be out of a job. So you hear stories about, people working odd jobs, working two jobs, and it really is cutthroat. Um, hats, my hats off to people that are really putting their hearts out there and grinding to make their creative dreams come true. So, yeah, it started in 2015, and
Like how did it get started? Like what was your introduction to it?
yeah, so I just I just had to put myself out there. I took acting classes,
Okay.
did student films, got the headshots, the reels, all that stuff. It is very simple, meaning like you just have to make the decision and roll with it, and it's very true that nothing happens until you take the action and do it and make the mistakes, learn from them, and do better. And I'm not saying I don't have all the answers now. I mean, I'm better off than I was 10 years ago. But that comes with time, putting the reps, making mistakes, learning from them, getting better, and you become more competent. along the journey. And you meet people along the way where you're like, okay, this guy, he seems like he's ready, but you only get to that point of being ready when you're investing in yourself, you're making those mistakes, and you're growing into that person you're supposed to be. So, yeah, that's when it started.
Still coming up.
Two men came into my house, busted the doors down, tied me up with a toaster cable.
SoCal homeowners, why pay $15, $20, or even $30,000 for a new roof when instead you can get a new roof for only less than $100 per month? Here at Master Roofing, we serve homeowners with high-quality roofs with no hefty upfront costs. So give your house the roof it deserves with zero down and low monthly payments. Why wait? Click the link below to get you a roof you deserve for payments you can afford. Do you, how has that journey been? Up until this point, it's you said about 10 years, right? That
Yeah,
you've been doing
yeah.
that. And you talk about the reality of the film industry, right? It's not like you just walk in and you become the next John Wick or Tom Cruise, right? It's like it's those guys have been putting it in for many, many years
Mhm.
and to build it that way. So how do you kind of balance everything that you're doing as far as, your healthcare and then also building this and talk to me, about what you're building, the technician, and
Mhm.
how do you balance all that and what it's like?
Yeah, yeah, thank you for that. First and foremost, I think as artists wear their hearts on their sleeves. There's a lot of emotions on the line,
Mm,
as you can imagine. Artists have to be very open to showing vulnerability, and I
mm-hmm,
don't think people really realize that how emotionally invested that we have to be. Like even if it's a small role, it doesn't really matter. No role is too big. Could be few lines,
mm,
but to live that life just for what we like to call it, my acting coach likes to call it living the slice of life, right? If we're investing into a role and embodying it for, you know, 5 or some minutes, we're really invested into it. And it really takes a lot out of us. And so, with that said, I think if I had to pull back the curtain and deep dive into how it was, 10 years ago and fast forward to today, I think it's just about, going to acting classes, um, doing short films, student films, commercials, working towards like a big set, like a Hulu documentary, which I was grateful to be a part of. Um, it's just really embracing who you really are, the insecurities, the flaws, the imperfections, and really embracing that and using them to empower you. Because when you're on,
what's that for you personally?
well, what do you mean? Just,
The flaws that you embrace or the things that
mhm.
you've come to use as like a superpower.
Yeah, so we all have like as people, right? We all have quirks. We all have like weird things that we
Yeah.
do that's unique to us. And for the longest time, I would kind of stop myself from showing those things, showing those flaws, those quirks that I do. It's like, man, I was for the longest time I was self-conscious of what people would think about me.
Mm.
And I would just like project an image of thinking I would be performing more than showing who is Aaron. And once I did the inner work, and doing the inner work is not going to come overnight. It's bits and pieces, you know, here and there. There's no timeline with that. It it there really isn't. Like if I had to mentor somebody and say, "Hey, Aaron, can you provide the blueprint on how I could transform myself into becoming more vulnerable or like being more of a raw artist?" There's no timeline to that. Everybody has their own journey. The thing is, as humans, the beautiful thing about being an artist is we all relate to human behavior, right? Humanity. And I think if we could deep dive into understanding how we think, feel, and the way we do things, the better we are in exploring why we do these things. Like why do I want to explore being an actor, musician, or why do I want to open a business? Why do we do it? But it all starts in here, and it could all start from childhood, and really discovering the pain points from that. So that's what it is for me.
I never really thought about that angle of like how you're emotionally invested as an actor, right?
Mhm.
But you're what is, because in my head I'm thinking like you have to become a different person. Like you kind of like you have to really be this person at all times. I've heard of
Mhm.
some big actors, they'll stay in their role even when they go home to their family and stuff because
Mhm.
they want to keep that persona that of this character that they're playing, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
What does that look like to be like emotionally invested and having that, but also having a life outside of that? And how does that affect your life outside of that?
Yeah, we refer to it as like method acting. So, for example, you know, I've heard stories where people would actually physically relocate themselves, like if they're playing a role like to the mountains, for example, they're playing some kind of western or whatever like that. They would isolate themselves up in the mountains and get to get a grasp of how it really feels to be in the environment, to play that kind of character. um for me, like there's various times where, like, when I was rewriting the script, my screenplay, um just this past week, I was in my own home for about 12 hours just rewriting the script, and I took a break. I went outside and I got in my head, meaning like I was living that character in my head when I was going out into the real world. And I was like, man, like I got triggered, and because I was thinking about the screenplay in my head. And I felt like what you're saying about living the role and then going out to the real world, it's like, man, it really does affect you if you're not really self aware about it. And that's why sometimes it's a personal choice uh, for different artists. For me, for example, like I get very, as an artist myself, um, I get carried away. If I choose to stay in character, um, it consumes a lot of my energy. And some people take it the wrong way. They could take it personal. Like, for example, when I'm at work, physically at work, and I have like, damn, I got a audition that I got to do, a self tape right after work, and I have to get in the mindset. Like I'm trying to be in character at work, and like sometimes like coworkers take it personal. It's like, why is Aaron not talking to me? What's his problem? Because I'm in that mindset. I'm thinking. It's more of like being an actor or an artist. You're having the thoughts in your head. That's why most of the
What
time.
thoughts?
So thoughts like if like I'm playing like for example, I don't know. Like just say like I'm playing a villain, a dangerous villain, like, I'm out to get somebody. I'm embodying that thought in my mind. And then like if I'm thinking about that at work and like somebody looks at me, they're like, "Oh man, what's this guy's problem? I think he's really having a tough time today because I'm actually practicing to get myself in that character." And some people take it the wrong way. So now, fast forward, I've learned to kind of part compartmentalize that. When I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm working on the craft, I'm working on the craft. That's it. I'm present at work, I'm present in the craft. So personally for me, it's a choice. Um it being in character, I don't know. For actors it could work for them, but for me it just takes a lot of energy out of me. So I know when to like snap it on, snap it off, and yeah. So yeah, it's work.
I
It's
never I
work.
never looked at it that way before of like how it could negatively affect other things. So if you're not telling somebody like what's going on, they're just seeing you and you're
Mhm.
embodying this murderer, that you're about to play or something, and like, you're like trying to, because you're so in your head about making sure you get that rolled down and all this stuff. It's like definitely somebody's gonna misread you because they don't
Mhm.
they don't have the context, right?
Exactly.
So it sounds like it was like a skill you had to learn to
It
compartmentalize that and separate it and
Mhm.
kind of let it go at work and
Mhm.
bring it back when you need to
Right.
be focused on it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Talk. Tell me about the technician. So what's the story behind it? Like, what's the idea? How did you come up with it?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, man. It's so the technician is it's an action crime thriller,
Okay.
inspired from my own personal experiences in life. Mainly, it's a true story, from my childhood, childhood all the way to adolescence when and yeah, it's a story about redemption. It's a story about Tony Marciano is the main character, and he is a he is a troubled warehouse worker, and who helps this retired cop find the killer of his deceased daughter, and only to be led along a drug conspiracy. So it is a story about just a normal guy who aspires to be the best version of himself, that aspires to want more in his life, and he's just sick and tired of just living just an average life. And then, like, along the way, he's working at the hospital, right? And he meets the character Harry Potts, who was the cop that's in the hospital, and then he saves his life by showcasing his martial arts skills. There was two guys coming out to get him to tie up loose ends because he was obviously a cop trying to hunt down a mafia boss. And long story short, the character saves him. Tony saves him, and he's like, Tony, I'm looking for a guy to you know come help me you know find these guys, find the it's a little deeper than that, but like, yeah, it's a little bit. It's a story about redemption, finding himself and transforming, and so the art comes from like a weak guy into transforming to the best ultimate version of himself. Uh,
So that story was your story,
yeah,
and
yeah.
something happened with your daughter, and found a
It
cop, and
that part was it's fictional. The opening scene, it's my personal experience. The opening scene, I was a victim of home invasion before. True story. Two men came into my house, busted the doors down, tied me up with a toaster cable. So, I was on the floor, and yeah, pretty much they took everything in my house, and yeah, very
that's
traumatic.
traumatic.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, yeah, I was basically getting ready for school at that time, and I
How old were
was
you?
I was in 19, 19.
Wow, not even old enough to drink.
So
So that event inspired a lot of the you writing the script.
yeah, yeah. So there's, as you can imagine, back then to now, there's a lot of trauma that I had to deal with. Basically, the big thing that I got taken away at that time was my peace, my inner peace, because I was totally caught off guard, right? And as humans, we are just in our bubble, just enjoying life,
And
whatever
everything's
we are.
gonna
Yeah,
happen to
yeah.
you.
Like
Yeah.
everything's fine. And all of a sudden, knock, knock, knock. Kick the doors down, and next thing I notice, I see two guys in front of my face.
Were you in like a sketchy area or something, or was it just randomly happened to you?
It it wasn't it wasn't sketchy at the time. It was a suburb in Moreno Valley at the time, my childhood home,
Wow.
and it was quiet in the morning. Nobody, everybody went to
Nope, your
work.
parents weren't home, nothing.
Yeah, parents were at work. Brother was at school, and um, 11 o'clock in the morning, and yeah, that's when it happened.
It's like the time you would never
Yeah,
think it could happen either.
yeah, it was perfect time.
Um, and so that all of that just turned into you saying I'm gonna turn this into a story, and it just what how did that start? You just put pen to paper and started your creative process.
hmm Yeah, it's like it was somewhat therapy for me. I wanted something to basically take out whatever is in my mind and just move it to the page, and kind of like it was like therapy. It's like, like sometimes when like everything in your mind is chaotic, but like, the simple power of like,
Organizing on paper,
organizing on paper. There you go.
because then you
Organizing on
can
paper.
understand, change your perspective on it probably. Yeah.
Exactly. So like that, and like putting my personal story on paper, and then the love for like 80s action films, and I've you know done martial arts. It's like, okay, well, why not? And then obviously I had a love for being creative, and why not do it. Yeah.
So from the business side of things, like how does that look? Like getting it from writing it down on paper to, if you could give, a young guy or girl out there that's looking, they want to get into the movie industry, the film industry, like step one is obviously like getting it out of your head, getting that story on paper, right? Creating a, is it called a manuscript or like a book, or is it's different?
Wait, which
Like
one?
script is you're writing a
Oh,
script
okay, yeah.
basically, right?
Yeah, script, screenplay,
Screen.
same
Okay,
thing.
so
Yeah.
once you do that, how do you now get it like to be on Netflix or Hulu, or like what's the following step after you write it and you get it done?
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, so here's the thing where I learned, like sometimes we could get so caught up in our head, like we has to be okay, step by step. This is okay. I got this done, which is true. We have that structure, the outline. But I here's where I'm going with this. So I went to a summit, great summit by the way, called Your Script Produced, held in Beverly Hills. First time there, great event, great man that hosted. Duvall is an amazing guy, and great amazing people. And it made me think more of like, how can I make my idea, the screenplay, more of a enterprise, meaning like a franchise? Because let's face it, like filmmaking, it's a business first and foremost. And so the next step would be just to, let's say, if you just have to simply, step number one, finish the screenplay. Step number two, you have to make sure that you're getting people out there reading your screenplay to help you obviously polish the screenplay, okay, point you in the right direction, and you're never going to be done.
Like
I,
your friends, you're saying, or like an editor, or like
it
you like who do you want to be reading it?
Yeah, so it could be friends within the industry, but then you have
How
to
do you
think.
protect it so it doesn't get copied or
Yeah, so like once you write it, it's already copyrighted. It's yours. But a step further is you could register it with the WGA, the Writers Guild of America. You could register it with them. If you want to take a step further, you could put an IP on it, which I did. Um, Once you have that, you have to be very use discernment with your ID because it's your baby, right? You're going to be emotional about it, right? Because if you get in the wrong hands, you could just, if they say, this change, this and that, like you get caught up in your head and you're like, okay, well, why am I even doing this? Like they're telling me to change this, they're changing my whole entire vision. So I think you have to protect your vision by standing by it, stand by your vision, your values, why you even started in the first place. And then from there, he kind of evolved. Like when I first started writing it, it was me just reaching out to people within the industry, like the friends that I knew that are writers, directors. Right? What do you think about this, bro? How can I change it? Which I did first. Like the first run around. Like I told, asked one of my dear friends. He's a director, writer. He's done some stuff in the industry, and he's further along. I'm like, I want you to read the screenplay that I just finished, and yeah, so he helped me, polish it, and from there, you submit it to film festivals, get feedback. There's options where you pay to play, meaning like you pay. It's an investment to have it read by professional readers, professional screenwriters. They give you feedback that way, and you just keep tinkering at it. You keep refining it until it's at that point where, like, okay, I think it's ready. And then this is where I'm at now. It's like I was grateful to meet a few producers and connect with them, and we're in speaking stage where it's okay. Well, let's fine tune the script again, and let's see if we can make it happen in 2026. So it literally is that simple, but obviously doing the work is going to be one of the things that people may may do or not do.
and that's huge what you're saying because there's a lot of people out there that will take that, take that 2 minute explanation you just gave and then think
Mm.
that they're going to be able to do it. But what they don't realize is this was 10 years of accumulation of knowledge and putting in work and events you went through and everything and still working a full time career. to get to this point, right?
Mhm.
That now you have it, intellectual property, you have the copyright, you have it, and now you're talking with producers. But
Mhm.
it took a lot to get there. So where I'm getting at is like anyone I think can do something like this, but they would have to be committed for a long period of time. And like I'm sure there's been a lot of people that were negative about it. Like,
Mhm.
hey, it's
Mhm.
never gonna happen, or it's the script's not gonna be there. And you just have to. It's just like starting a business. You have to put that off to the side, and you have to just focus on what you believe in, and keep trusting your vision.
Mhm.
And eventually, if it goes through enough hands, it's gonna fall into the right
Mhm.
hands.
I agree. I agree. Simple as that. I mean, it's part of the game. The negativity, the toxicity, the people are going to tell you, you're just out of your mind. It's true. It's true. And here's what I learned: the people that are making moves, right? The people that are winning, the people that are where you want to be, they're never going to talk down on you. They're going to be like, yeah, you could do it. You could do it. Go for it, man. I'm supporting you. But here's the thing though. If let's just say these mentors, right? The people that I'm reaching out to that I want to build relationships with, now it's more like, okay, it's finding the people that are aligned with my vision and see how I could share that vision with them and help bring them on board and see how we can make magic together. It's not about like me, read my script and I just want the money. And which is basically what we have all in our minds. Like I need the funds. I need the money. Like, I'm a great guy, I have a great script, like it's not that simple, but like it's everything is a song and dance, relationship. It's kind of dating, like it really is just putting the crunch time and the mentor, the coach, the people will show up when you're ready. There's no timeline. It's like, so Aaron, yeah, I paid $2,000 for your course, like your blueprint. Am I going to get my screenplay made like within 12 months or 6 months? No, everybody's different.
Do you offer a blueprint?
No,
Okay,
I do not. But
maybe you should,
yeah, maybe.
because you have your podcast, and you've already gone through the process. Maybe that can help somebody who was you 10 years ago.
Yeah, maybe.
To get them to take the first step,
Yeah,
and start moving forward.
yeah,
Um, you have a podcast,
yeah.
12 feet deep, right?
12 feet deep, yes.
What's the reason why you started that?
Yeah, so basically with everything, right? Everything starts with mindset, right? I grew up playing a lot of sports, growing up, martial arts, baseball, golf, swimming, and all that. And I share that because we could all relate to sports, right? And being a creative, being an artist, I think the missing link that I've been seeing with just connecting with friends, connecting with new people in the industry is which is mindset, right? There's no foundation, there's no structure. People just wanted to make films, they wanted to that's all they wanted to do. And when they went home, the cameras were off, the lights were off. It's like, well, so what else are you doing when you're not doing this? I know you're working on the craft and writing, but are you working on your mindset? Are you exercising? Are you eating right? What's going on? It's like I see like for example, I'm seeing friends like, 12 months from now and then the same person mentally, physically, and spiritually. Nothing evolved. So what are you doing this whole entire time? Like I'm not seeing you on set. It's like so it occurred to me, it's like with every avenue we do in life, it all starts with mind. So that's why that I came up with a 12 PD podcast, which focuses on, personal development, mindset, and growth, focused on the creative. So I think that's a missing link, and that's why I came up with the podcast. And the reason why I named it 12 Feet Deep is I go deep, 12 feet deep, and talk about the vulnerable, raw, just um, stuff about life that people don't want to talk about. So
You call yourself a creative. I think of you like an entrepreneur, because you're just in a different industry, but you still have all the same things an entrepreneur deals
mhm,
with, right?
mhm,
Being an entrepreneur is really being a creative, right? And whatever industry you're in, and just dealing with the like it all starts with the mindset, right?
mhm.
Just believing you can do it, and taking that first step. Um, so what is your end goal? Like, once, like, where you would say like I've made it. Do you still work in the healthcare field? Are you in in film full time? What does that vision look like for you?
Yeah, so the vision is, the cliche 5 year, the 5 year plan, right? Like I really truly want to make the technician into an actual franchise. This is just not another, an action movie with a new action star. It's actually something, a positive message within the movie about transformation, like, and then I want to roll that into a franchise, and then obviously, roll out the podcast and touch people's lives internationally. I really do care about serving people. Like, it's like when I'm meeting new people, I believe that like one of my strengths is just being empathetic and really connecting with people one on one. And if I could touch one person's life, um, that would make the world, because we're all investing in the people. Everything is about relationships. People matter. Things don't. And yeah, that would be the long term vision, to make the technician a franchise, and grow 12 feet deep to an international presence where I could touch more people's lives.
So kind of last question I want to ask you before we wrap up here is like, you talked about a little bit off camera before we started, like identifying what your values are.
Hmm.
What are your values like, and how have you identified those?
Yeah. So first and foremost, integrity. Integrity, number one. I'll start with that. Why do I say integrity? Because integrity is something I think people simply overlook. Your word is your bond. Your word is pretty much everything, and I think people take that lightly. For example, like if we're gonna meet for coffee, Monday morning at 10 a.m. I expect you to be there. If you're gonna be late, tell me you're gonna be late ahead of time or whatever like that. It's just simple as that. Integrity. Say what you're gonna say. Follow through with what you're gonna do. Number two would be punctuality, which somewhat aligns with integrity. I say punctuality because I'll share a personal story. I was supposed to be a pallbearer for my grandma's, uh, funeral, and at the time, I was all over the place. I was like, early 20s at that time, and I was lost. And I remember we were in San Diego at the time, and it was two. I was staying with two of my cousins. That was before the ceremony. We're getting ready, putting our black suits on to go to the actual burial site. My first cousin left, and then it was just me and my other cousin in the hotel room, and we were late, super late. We got lost driving there, and I missed the opportunity to hold my grandmother one last time. And from that day forward, I told myself that I'll try my hardest not to be late ever again, ever. And so till this day, I'm learning to give myself more grace now. Like till this day, I give myself a hard time if I'm late. You know, minute, 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, I give myself a lot of shit. But now it's more of just like if I am going to be late, I communicate, learn how to communicate beforehand, letting the other opposing party know that I'm going to be arriving late, just keeping the communication open. And that's the reason why punctuality is something important to me. Um, Accountability is another one. Everything is aligned. Integrity, punctuality, accountability. If you like, first and foremost, if you can't be accountable to yourself doing the small things, people are not going to trust you with doing the bigger things. For example, um, our habits, right? Everything is habitual. We're creatures of habit. And I think if you are self aware of what you do on a day to day basis, like for example, if you are, waking up late, if you're drinking, doing drugs, smoking, whatever it is, um, I'm not saying perfect, I left that life a long time ago. I drank, and smoked weed, and realized that none of that was serving me. Partying wasn't serving me. And you have to tell yourself the truth and hold yourself accountable and tell yourself, okay, it starts small. Change doesn't happen overnight. So like if you know, tell yourself you're going to wake up at this time, wake up at this time. Then you build confidence. I'm going to go at the gym at 5 in the morning. Build that confidence, build that habit. So yeah, I think those would be the top 3 things: integrity, punctuality, and accountability.
When we were walking up to the studio, you noticed the wall that I have down in the warehouse with for the team with all the core values, and you mentioned that. I think it's very important, to have those set of core values, not only for their definitions, but to make sure that everyone who's with you is aligned on that vision. Like building your movie and stuff. You want to make sure all the people working with you are going to have that. Because it's so important, the core values, and if everyone could be aligned towards the same vision of and working towards those core values, it's a huge thing.
Very huge.
Aaron's story shows us what happens when discipline meets vision and when you decide to build your future brick by brick. This episode gave you insight, inspiration, and a roadmap for your own journey. Make sure you follow Built to Scale, share this podcast, and tag us with your biggest takeaway. If you're new here, subscribe so you never miss a story, strategies, and step-by-step breakdowns from people building greatness from the ground up. Aaron, thank you for being here and sharing that blueprint with us. Where can people find you and get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely, brother. You guys could find me on the real Aaron Dumas on Instagram, and also follow me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify at the 12 Feet Deep Show.
Awesome having you, Aaron, and look forward to this one dropping.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Quinn,
you.
Appreciate you, and let's rock and roll. Let's keep it going.
Sounds good.